Hey everybody, welcome back to the 166th episode of Taps and Patience. I am AJ with Subtract Manufacturing and Audacity Micro here with Harrison of Precision Ingenuity. Hi Harrison.
Hey AJ, how we doing?
I'm tired.
Tired? I am very tired myself.
I'm actually not tired for machine shop reasons though. I am tired because I have been kicking exercise into high gear and I've been doing a lot of it recently. And now my body is like, this is not normal for us.
Yep. That's a good reason to be tired, though.
Yeah.
I'm tired from having to travel down to Dallas, Texas to go pick up my wife and then getting back super late.
Was that always the plan?
No, it was not.
What happened?
So when she originally planned out this trip, she was going off of the school's calendar. And there was an error on the school calendar, and it got done like a week early. And so she rescheduled her flights, but they couldn't get her all the way back to where she departed from. And so Dallas was the closest place. Otherwise, she'd be hanging out there for a week. Half the class is still stuck there.
There's no class, or there's no flights from Dallas to whatever your closest airport is.
There is, in a week. But the cost, then she'd be stuck in Dallas. There was no connecting flights between Dallas and because she changed her departure airport, and they didn't, from the new departure airport, they didn't have a flight that went to her previous departure airport when she was going that way. And so
how far of a drive is that for you?
It's about 5.5 hours both ways.
Oh, that's way less than I thought it would be. Even though I've literally done that drive or done a similar drive, that's still way less than I thought it would be.
But I still got back super late because she didn't come in. She didn't land till like 6.
Yeah.
So like it was a late night. So, and then she's on time zone problems. So she had a lot of jet lag and she was exhausted. So.
Was I in Houston? Is that where I was in Texas? Because that might be why I'm thinking it's farther away than
I think you were. And Houston is definitely farther.
Houston is definitely farther.
So
I'm not sure I realized that Arkansas bordered Texas.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, I see that now as I look at a map.
Although I went through Oklahoma. So
yeah,
I went like I was going to Tulsa, and then about halfway between Tulsa and Siloam, straight south to Dallas.
Fun.
So
I hate driving, so
and Dallas traffic is horrible. I hate it with a burning passion.
That's what they said about Houston traffic, but I didn't think it was that different than Indianapolis traffic.
Were you talking about interstate or
Interstate.
Downtown? Okay. Interstate it wasn't as bad as it's been in the past because it was a weekend, thankfully. I think that made it better. But it was still a lot of people jockeying around. Got to be careful not to hit anyone.
Yeah.
So, and then like your GPS is like, you're on a 12-lane highway and you just entered 12-lane highway and you need to exit off the other side in 0.5 miles.
Yep.
And it's like, all right, everyone, here I come.
Buckle up.
Here I come across the packed 12-lane highway and a very short distance.
So last week, did we talk about the Tormach controller going kaput?
I don't think so.
So that was kind of my big thing for this week. Did we talk about all the copper parts? Was that last week?
I think we did talk about the copper parts, yes.
The copper parts I made and then remade and then remade.
Yep.
So, gosh, what happened this week other than the machine? Well, anyway, so last week, actually this makes sense because last week when we were recording, I had a storm go through. Big storm goes through. We lost internet connection. I have no idea how the end of the last podcast turned out. I'm curious to see what Jacob did with that. When I was going to bed, like when I was going from podcast to, back to my house, I walked by the Tormach and I noticed the Tormach screen was black. And I went, oh, that's weird. And so I just turned off the power and then went to bed. And I think the next day I was not in the shop. I think I was doing quoting work for Subtract and like getting caught up on some paperwork and stuff. And I was probably working on taxes. And so I didn't start up the machine that day. And then the next day, which I suppose would be Tuesday, I don't know. The next day, I went out to go start the machine. And we recorded on Tuesday last week. So Wednesday, I didn't do anything. Thursday, I got out to the shop, went to go start making parts, and machine no turn on. So I opened up the panel that the controller's in. The machine had lights. I could hear like the oiler turned on when I gave it power. There were signs of life in the machine cabinet. Like I could see the drives had power, and they seemed to be in good working order. Like there wasn't alarms on those or whatever. But the controller was just doing nothing. And so I poked around at it. I checked to make sure that it was getting its 24 volts, and it was getting 24 volts because that was what's happened last time I had controller issues. It was the power supply that I had that died. But couldn't find anything. There was no lights. There was no nothing on the little it's a computer. It's literally just a Linux computer. It just happens to be built into a touchscreen. And I poked at it for a couple minutes and went, this is dead. I called Tormach and, he had me poke a couple things. So he was like, yep, nope, that's dead. We'll send you a new controller. So they were kind enough to overnight me a controller. I think we, finally like worked through all of our issues around noon, maybe 2:00, something like that. And that's when they were like, yep, we're going to send it to you. Fortunately, still covered under the machine warranty. And that controller was on my front porch at like 8:30 a.m. the next day. And it took me all of maybe 15 minutes to get the new one installed. Norman was a little bit worried that this controller wouldn't fit on my machine because I actually moved up a iteration. Because my machine is like prototype beta unit. Like it's an early one. And there's a few differences between it and like the new production units. And the controller is one of them. So the new controller is kind of a lot more streamlined. Like there was just a lot less kind of cords around. The old one had this like e-stop box off to the side. That's all integrated into it now. There were just a couple kind of random things like that. And it's bigger. The actual screen went from like an 18-inch to like a 24-inch or something. Like it's actually a huge screen. But fortunately, it was able to just bolt right on. Like remove the 4 hinges, or remove the 4 screws on the 2 hinges, popped it off, popped on the new one, and plugged it in, and it was up and running. I had intern Jacob go through kind of the startup and calibration stuff because I did not have a backup of my old controller. That is the thing I could have done, but I had never taken a backup. I've remedied that now.
So what did you need from a backup off the controller? Just out of curiosity.
My tool table.
So that's the only thing you needed was the tool
table
table
and work offsets.
Okay.
Theoretically, it probably would have backed up the things like the ATC calibration, but I'm not sure I would have trusted that to be the same. I don't know.
Okay.
But it recalibrate the ATC, recalibrate the tool setter, recalibrate the spindle probe, and then touch off all the tools that we had set up. Oh, the other thing we had to back up that I didn't have a backup of, but Tormach does keep, is the machine comp tables. So like there's like a skew correction on all the different axes and a backlash and
okay.
Like from their basically all the data from their ball bar test that they do at the factory.
Oh, that would be important data to get.
Yes.
I would care about that more than anything else.
Yep. Fortunately, they had that. I was actually able to find a copy that I didn't back up, but at one point I think I emailed it to Norman for some reason. And I found that email. Maybe he emailed it to me. I'm not sure. But I was able to get all that stuff loaded back up and get the machine running. But because I'm me, and even though I was pressed for time on these, production hardened steel parts I have to make, I was like, well, the machine's down and kind of apart, so we might as well do everything else that I've ever intended to do to this machine. So while it was down, we did a full coolant clean out and swap, which I've been needing to do for a long time.
Mhm.
I was changing coolants from Qualichem to this like Sterling cool stuff or whatever it's called. And I had ran out of the Qualichem. The stupid distributor wouldn't speak to me so I could buy more of it. So I gave up on them and switched to somebody else. But when I tore down the Haas, I took the coolant out of that and put it in the Tormach, and I had like a bucket left. And I've been just kind of surviving off of that. But it was starting to get very low and close to be being out. And so we use this opportunity to do the full clean out, get it all swapped over to the new stuff. And I spent, I don't know, probably 2 hours doing wire management in the back of the machine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say it's Tormach's fault, but they don't exactly give you any tools to do it. Like there's no good built-in wire and cable management in the back of the machine.
Okay.
And I had certainly not taken the time to do it well when I first put the machine together. And it was just a nightmare back there. And then now that we've started integrating Mongo in the machine and like they're connected a little bit more with things like the auto door and the Aroa release line. And Mongo actually gets his main air supply from the Tormach. It was just this big tangled mess. Cleaning chips up was so annoying because like you had to, wade through a jungle of lines and hoses and stuff. And so I spent the time to like really clean that up. And now it's really nice where there's hoses that go from the coolant pump to the machine. And that's like the only thing that runs over the chip tray. There are now no more power lines or air lines that are on the floor. It's all run from above, probably like it should have been in the first place, but hey. And, between the new coolant and like getting everything freshly calibrated and the, newer, nicer controller and the like all that wire management, it's like it's a brand new machine again. It's great.
That's awesome.
Oh, and then on top of that, because I knew I was going into this big production job, there were some issues with my old post. And I had started on a new one like 6 months ago, but actually it was probably more like a year and a half ago. But I had not finished it. And I was like, I've been doing a lot of this coding lately with Codex, with the ChatGPT programming. And so I was like, maybe we finish this. And I was very quickly able to finish up everything that I had started 6 months ago or whatever it was, a year ago. And now my post for that machine is awesome.
Nice.
So I added in-process inspection that does not require the manufacturing extension on Fusion. We kind of cheated around that. And, with like full data logging ability and ability to import those results back into Fusion for the inspection report. I also added some like washdown cycles where you can tell it like, hey, change to this tool, use either coolant or air or TSC if you had it, and clean off the table. I added options where it can go, you can set a position where it can go park itself when it's done, which is something that I've, like for every program I have ever run on this machine, except for a couple like other production jobs where I've manually typed in G code at the end of a program, like for every single one, I've picked up the little MPG and gone spin, 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 spin until it's gotten into the right place. And I've had to do that a billion times. And now it just does it all by itself.
Nice.
And the other big issue I had was tool breakage detection was always a problem with how I set up this machine. I think the Tormach intended way was to put the OTS on the right-hand side of the machine, and I have always had it on the left-hand side of the machine.
Okay.
The little eyeball thing is on the right-hand side of the machine. And if the spindle was in a lower position when you went to do the tool breakage detection, it would fail to communicate like 10% of the time, 5% of the time, which is certainly enough to ruin a production program. Like, you know, if it fails 5% of the times and you have 10 tools, then like it's, you know, failing every other part, which is not acceptable. And so I edited the post where like this, all I had to do now is it just retracts the column and then turns on the tool setter instead of turning on the tool setter and then retracting the column. And since then, I have not had a single failed one.
Nice.
So that's something I should have fixed a long time ago because that was really easy. It's been very nice. I will, when I've tested this a little bit more, release the post to the general public and back to Tormach. Hopefully they'll incorporate some of my changes. But it's been like, it's amazing how such a small thing can make such a huge difference. Just like always having the machine park in the right place, knowing the tool breakage detection is going to be reliable. The cleaning cycle afterwards is, man, whatever, but it's still nice.
Good deal.
And since then, I've just been running these production parts, the hardened steel ones. I had some tool life issues at the beginning because I was using my traditional 3/16 inch rougher for everything. And that 3/16 tool just wasn't surviving that long in, hardened tool steel. So I added like 2 or 3 other roughing tools. I added a 1/4-inch tool, and actually I added a couple 1/4-inch tools. I ended up with, I think I have like 4 total 1/4-inch tools that all kind of have their own niche surface or niche tool path for like in there. Like they're a lot of finishers. So I have like the rougher, and then I have one that has a bull nose to get a specific feature. And then I have a ball nose to get a specific feature. And then I have one that just does the outside contour for like one of the precision features. So
I just had an aha moment.
What's
listening to you talk. I've been fighting a problem on a job forever, and where I've been seeing lines show up in my part, and just listening to you talk about different problems and things, I think I figured out my problem. But
just
I'll come back
throw
to
more tools at the problem.
No. We can talk about it here in a minute. But just.
Oh, I also threw in a 1/2-inch end mill that I use for just one specific feature, that like just hogging out one piece of material. So basically what I did is really I distributed the load from one 3/16 inch 5 flute to like 5 different tools, most of which are quite a bit more resilient than that little 3/16. So I think the 3/16 went from like 35 minutes or 40 minutes of cycle time down to like 4 to get in there what it actually needs to get in.
Fair enough. So my aha moment is going back to those 17.4 medical parts where I keep seeing the lines in them. And what I'm wondering is happening, now that I think about it, is that the part that I'm machining, see if I can give it an example somewhere. Got a piece of paper. It has like a sail on the top where it's constantly changing height. And I'm wondering now if in the process, so it's something like this.
Okay.
Where it's kind of tapering into a big top. Lines keep developing on it. And I'm wondering is that as my finishing tool is coming up, if more flutes are engaging at different points. So it's 1 flute, 2 flute, 3 flute.
Red flute, so blue flute?
Yeah. And so I'm wondering if that's causing a weird wear pattern in the flutes over time, where then that's streaking a line all the way across where multiple flutes start engaging at different heights.
That's possible.
It's also a really narrow feature. So it's probably 3/4 of an inch tall and maybe 80, like a 16th to 80th thou thick, and about an inch long.
Could it be like vibration harmonics?
Definitely could. But I've been fighting this problem, and we just got some parts back from Electropolish after we tumbled them for 12 hours, and we can still see the lines. So we're going to upgrade our tumblers to something a little bit more high energy, That's going to be one thing. And then I want to find a way to get rid of the lines in the part.
Are you, or is there a burr when on the top of that shark fin when that finishing tool is coming around?
No, there's not.
There goes my idea. Even like a micro burr?
I highly doubt it. So what I do is, so we're gonna rotate my view to the front side. So if you were to rotate that view to the side, it looks like someone flipping you off.
Yes, it does.
It's the fin in the middle, and it really does. How bad can I make this example? Can I make it worse?
I bet you could.
I bet I could. There's a line in the center. I don't know. Does that make things better or worse? There's two lines in the center where those radiuses come up and
meet.
meet.
See what it looks like now. Definitely worse.
I can slowly draw.
Well, the good news is it's no longer a middle finger.
Anyways, I'll put this down for now. I do that outer profile first, so the shark fin is there, and then I rough away everything from both sides to where it's just that thin feature, and then I come in with a dedicated finishing tool to try to finish those walls. Okay. And I've tried, I don't know how many different tools, and all tools develop the lines. So it's got to be something with how that part is machined and how they're all wearing virtually identical regardless of brand.
Are you using that tool anywhere else on the part?
No.
So it has to be from this feature.
Yeah. Well, I say no. It is finishing, so let me finish up my penis finger drawing.
This is definitely an episode to watch on YouTube.
So, I'm finishing it up on these outer walls too, as well.
Is there any chance your streaking issue is coming from there?
No, because the thicker material at the bottom doesn't have the same line development.
Oh, so that implies that it might be related to that feature.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is challenging, and I've tried so many different things, so many different tools.
What size tool are you using?
3/16, I want to say.
Can you fit a larger one in there?
I've done 3/16 and I've done quarter. Those are the two sizes I've tried. I've gravitated towards smaller tooling for less tool pressure, but I need enough tool length. And if I go down to an 1/8 inch without having a really long reach 1/8 inch, not super feasible. Now I am doing this in the 5-axis. So my next thought is I could come in on the side and rotate it and have an end mill on the side kind of come in.
Yeah, and do it with the face of the tool.
Yeah. And then to make my image even better, I could do from both sides to where I can have my tool come in from both sides to try to make that platform.
This podcast has already gone off the rails. We broke Harrison.
Anyways, so that's what I'm trying to figure out is the best way to machine that and get rid of that. And so what I'm thinking is, instead of eating that material away, I can leave all that extra material on the sides here. That way it's a constant wall, and see if those lines develop before I was trying to reduce tool pressure, and so I put in that thin profile before I finish the walls. But if I leave the walls as a giant plane where it's constant pressure all the way across, that might be the better solution.
How much stock to leave are you leaving before your finishing pass?
I'm having like 3 pre-finishing passes and then a finishing pass. And I'm going down like 2 thou step over on the pre-finishing passes.
Is your stock stair-stepped at all, like during roughing or anything? Like, could this be some of that weird ghosting that you sometimes see even through finishing passes?
I don't think so because I'm using a 1/4 inch tool to rough it and it's doing it all in one depth.
Okay. Have you ever tried cutting it the other way? Like from right to left or from left to right instead of right to left?
Conventional versus...
Yeah.
I have not.
Because that would come in from the steeper side of the shark fin instead of the shallow side.
Well, one side is doing it that way, one side's doing it the other way.
Oh, true. That's a good point. And
it's on both sides.
It's on the both sides. That is so weird.
So it's not like one side is different than the other.
Does a brand new end mill do it on its first attempt,
Yes.
its first pass?
Yes.
So that implies it is like a harmonics or something weird. Have you tried a high helix tool?
Extremely high helix. I got a 6-flute high helix one from Frasia. See if I can.
And you've tried not high helix tools?
Yeah. But I don't know how not high helix. I think it's like a 40 degree. So the non-high helix. I've tried so many different tools at this point that like they're all blending together.
Yeah. That does imply that it is something related to the part.
Mm-hmm. My thought, and I was just looking at Instagram just while I was waiting for us to get our audio stuff figured out. And I saw on the stream, I don't know where it went, but having like a grinding wheel, or like not like a grinding wheel or like a Scotch-Brite finisher, like come in and try to smooth everything out just on the end of a tool. So something like that.
Yeah, do a Grimsmo style.
Yeah.
But then you run into how do you dress the grinding wheel?
Yeah. But I don't know. I have been fighting this and fighting this and fighting this and fighting this. And I thought tumbling, like, tried different tools and tried tumbling, and like the electro polish makes any surface irregularities shine through. I mean, it's like a mirror. So like if there's anything on that surface that is not perfectly smooth, it sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, now it's rough and shiny.
Yeah. So those lines shine through. Like we tumbled them and like the surfaces look matte and uniform, and then they come back from electro polish and you can see the tiniest divots. And all the streaks come right back.
That's annoying.
Mm-hmm. And they specifically call out no machining marks on part.
I'm very curious to what it will do when you use the end of your end mill.
I don't think that's going to solve the problem, because I've finished with the bottom of end mills all the time, and you can usually feel like just the smallest wave of a pattern when you do it that way, unless you have like a really small step over.
Yeah, but it might make your problem different. Like, I don't know. Just seeing something different is some amount of progress in itself.
Yeah, but I mean, if I see the lines there, but now I know why they're there, that doesn't help me.
Well, if you know why they're there, that does really help.
No, I mean, if I change the mode and the mode already has an inherent weakness, and then that weakness comes through, I haven't learned anything. I've just...
Oh, yeah. Something like a small inserted mill might do better, giving you a better face finish.
Maybe.
Like a 1-inch, not a shear hog, but a shear hog-like tool.
Yeah. Something that's wide enough to do it in one pass, like a face mill.
Have you tried finishing one side while leaving a ton of material on the backside?
I have not. That's not... I mean, that might show that it's a deflection issue.
Yeah, that would show if it was, a part or a tool deflection issue.
Yeah.
Because if it's the tool issue, it would still be there. If it's the part issue, then it won't be.
Yeah. I could do that just to see.
Yeah. Have you tried just a really slow RPM?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've tried like 150 SFM. So
did it change where the lines are?
No.
Weird.
I've tried between 150 SFM all the way up to about 350 SFM. You don't really want to go too much faster than that in 17.4. I've tried tons of different step overs. Yeah, it's just a weird problem. And like the customer's old supplier, we have a couple of their parts and their surfaces are pitted. Like they got tumbled in extremely aggressive material. And so like it's a uniform pitting. And I'm thinking that's just how they just did it. They just got a real aggressive tumbler and just tumbled the crap out of it.
Is that allowable?
Yes, as long as it's a 32 RA finish. So it's a 32 RA finish with no machining marks is the call out.
I'm surprised you can get away with any pitting for 32 RA.
It might not be like, that's just what I can describe by looking at like the mirror-like surface.
Yeah.
So it looks like a really like a tumbled finish, basically. So an aggressive tumbled finish. So the little rolly tumblers that we've had for a long time, we're gonna have to upgrade to something with a little more energy.
Yeah. Otherwise, they'll be tumbling for 96 hours or whatever.
Yeah, and even then, it might not get rid of them. So,
you don't think they were like bead blasting before tumbling and then polishing or something?
I don't think so, but it's possible. Actually, I don't think so because I think we got the old process from the old company that was doing it, and I don't think bead blasting was in there. So, and I don't think bead blasting would solve it because bead blasting and then tumbling and then electropolishing, as the bead blasting isn't changing the surface peaks and valleys as much as trying to, but like the problem with the electropolish is it's like it makes it shiny to where any defects come through, and tumbling kind of grinds and smooths out the surfaces more so than I think bead blasting does. Bead blasting just adds a texture to the surface without actually changing peaks and valleys.
It would peen down the high spots more than the low spots, but
yeah, but I don't know about over that big of an area.
Yeah, that's
true. It's like a localized peening, but not like the valleys would still get peened at the same rate as the peaks over if they're a wide enough area. So,
well, I'm curious to hear the results of your testing.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to do some testing. It's. I felt like I've had this problem solved like 4 different times, and then I go to electropolish, and all my hopes and dreams are dashed, and I got to start over. So,
there's no way that it's like a racking issue with electropolish or something, is it?
No, you can see it's the same lines from. You can see the lines like. Compare like a part that hasn't been done versus a part that is electropolished, and it's the same lines.
Okay.
So,
hey, it was worth a shot.
Yeah, it was. So, got to figure that one out. Every time I think I've got a solution, it hasn't worked. But
well, what else has been going on for you?
Not a lot. Just nose to the grinding stone. We are just slammed with a lot of stuff. I got a lot of quotes I got to get out right now. I've been quoting a lot of stuff, and I can't do everything at this point. And it's we're at that stage now where I feel like I could use another person, but at the same time, I'm not keeping my current employee busy enough. But we don't have enough tasks that we can hand over to him that he can do that he's trained to be able to do. So having another person in there is not going to solve that issue. Does that make sense?
It sounds like you need to be training and maybe trusting him more.
Yes. Yeah. It's the problem is I'm not sure I can guide him because I'm still figuring this stuff out on my own as well. Like this issue. Like I couldn't tell him how to solve this issue for me so I could focus on something else. Cause he's going to know less than I know. So, and he could work on it for a while, But at some point, I can put him to work in other areas while I focus on this, that he would be better suited for anyways. And it's not like he's not doing anything. Like, he is still busy, but there's just certain aspects of the company that we're not ready to hand off yet. So having another person in there isn't going to solve that.
Like what?
Like inspection. That's something that Weston's been all up in. And he's kind of owning that side of the business, and he's not to the point where he's comfortable handing it off to anyone else because he's still trying to get everything documented and make sure the process controls are being followed and doing all of that stuff. For me, on my side, I've got a lot of high volume production parts that I'm trying to, like this part, for example, that I'm trying to get reliable processes for, that if I handed it off to him, he either wouldn't catch these problems or wouldn't be able to solve these problems because he just doesn't have the experience with them yet. And so what he's really good at is the job shop work, but we don't really have a whole lot of the job shop work. We've been throwing as much of that type of work at him as we can, but he could do production type stuff, but I don't. There's enough value and we're trying to eke out all the performance we can that I don't think he has the experience to be able to do that kind of stuff yet, if that makes sense. Like, he can get something knocked out and get 10 parts of something done pretty quick, but the production stuff at the volumes that we try to do them at are always a challenge. They're never as easy because making 10 of something is a heck of a lot easier than making 1,000 or 10,000 of something. That's when all the wheels fall off. That's when you start running into problems, and that's just a whole different skill set that we're still developing.
Yeah. Is he ever going to learn if he doesn't get to do it, though?
He is, but it's hard to teach someone when I don't know the answer.
Well, that's because the skill isn't knowing exactly what to do when you get given, or when you get handed a specific part. The skill is the problem solving. And that's what you know how to do.
Yes. The problem is we're also under the gun. I don't have the time to train him, or I don't have the time for him to try to figure it out at 3 times the amount of time it would take for me to figure it out. Because
you would have more time if you delegated to your employee more.
Yes, but I have like 3 customers all down my throat for stuff that they need tomorrow. And that's not the time to start training someone or handing that stuff off to them.
I mean, yeah, the correct answer was 6 months ago.
Yes.
But is there any way to get back ahead of that curve without, putting more on him?
I keep thinking so.
Fair.
I keep getting everything kind of going, and then a bump comes in the road, and then it throws me all out of whack again. So it's like you know how, like, have you ever run downhill and you feel like you're trying to put one foot in front of the other, and like you're trying not to fall on your face, and you're right on the line where you could either be fine or it just takes that one rock and then you're flat on your face, skidding down the hill.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. I get it. And I don't have a good solution for it because I don't think throwing him in the middle of that mix is going to solve the problem or give him the experience he needs to solve the problem in a time frame that is acceptable. We're trying to give him as much stuff as we can. We're trying to everything that he has a comfort level with at this point, we're trying to do. And I love him to death. He is not as fast as the rest of us. And I have told him that if I wanted to choose something, I would rather him be cautious than fast and reckless. And right now we need fast, not reckless, as fast as we can go. And he's just not there yet. He's got 1 year of machining experience. So, and we've been trying to dip his toes in the water as fast as we can without hitting him with a pressure washer and completely drowning him. And it's a balancing act. he will eventually be able to do all these tasks. That is the ultimate goal. I'm not wanting to hold on to these things forever. It's just he's not to that point yet.
Is Weston able to program at this level and like get these processes proved out?
Not really.
Okay.
That's not really his level either. He is more on the administrative. He kind of circles me and tries to get everything out of my way so I can focus on getting the programming and getting parts out the door. And so Ben is kind of straddling that fence between helping him and helping me. And if I'm too bit if he can't do work for me, he tries to help Weston. If he can't do work for Weston, he tries to help me. And we're both trying to give him as many tasks as we can to free up both of ourselves as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, he's been programming and running the SVM job shop work while also doing passivation and engraving and a couple other things to help Weston out. So he's running a machine and doing as much as he can on the post side of machining.
And he is programming the SVM for that job shop work?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's
okay.
Like he programs job shop stuff all the time. It's the production level stuff that he's not done yet. He's the highest volume part he's done has been like a 50-piece run of like programmed and run like 50 pieces at a time.
So if you had, I don't know, some widget comes in and you're going to run 10,000 a year plus of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be able to trust him to get them running? Maybe they'd take 10 times, well, maybe not 10 times. Maybe they take twice as long as they should at the production level. But do you think he could get them running satisfactorily?
Yeah. I think he could get like the first prototype off. I don't think he could.
Not just the first prototype, but in production, just inefficiently in production.
I don't know about that. It depends on how complex the part is. Because like the other thing with these production parts is they are more heavily inspected than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of tweaking to get parts to be in spec over long runs. Like that's stuff that I haven't ever had to do before, where the machine growth and like so many little tiny factors that like once you get it right, it runs good. But like it's stuff that I haven't ever had to pay attention to on smaller runs.
Yeah. So really here you have an inspection problem. Because you were saying that even on the established process side, you guys still can't have him do final inspections yet. And then your biggest problem with...
We can't have him do final inspections on stuff that involve the CMM. And all of our production stuff is using the CMM.
Okay.
I'm not even really trained on the CMM compared to Weston. Weston's the only one that's trained on the CMM.
But for production stuff, once that's set up once, doesn't it just kind of do its thing?
Yeah, which he's loaded the CMM and run it, but he can't program it. Like that takes Weston like, probably a day or two, depending on the complexity of the part.
So where is your... So you were saying that Weston hasn't been able to hand off any of the inspection stuff. That's not hand tool stuff. That's only CMM stuff?
That's primarily CMM stuff. There might be a little bit of hand stuff in there, but then that goes into just ProShop and setting up all that in ProShop to be... Like, he can enter the data into ProShop once it's all set up. But Weston's the only one that's trained on, like, documenting and getting all of the stuff set up into ProShop.
And your employee isn't able to do that yet?
Yes. Weston's the only one in the shop, because Weston just got training, like, a month ago on how to get all... Like, once we got AS9100 and we started getting the training for how to do all this stuff in ProShop, he's the only one that's been able to do that, and we've been running at 1,000 miles an hour ever since, and he hasn't been able to transfer any of that knowledge to any other member of in the company.
Mm-hmm. So let's say you got this new order for 10,000 widgets a year or whatever. You're first proving out the program, like you've gotten the PO, like you need to get into the swing of production on these. It's a brand new program. There's some tight inspection requirements. Are you doing all of that on the CMM, or is that all being done with hand tools?
If we do as much as we can with the hand tools, but there are some features usually that can only be done on the CMM.
So could he do, what is his name again?
Ben.
So could Ben do everything except the CMM part? Like if you gave him a part to prove out?
He's never programmed a part to use the VersaBuilt system. Like he's never programmed a part for the dual spindle lathe. He's never programmed a part for the VersaBuilt side, and the other equipment usually do not have that high of volume of parts. So it's really the lathe and the VersaBuilt that are the two things that we use most of our production stuff on, and he's not really trained on either of those systems. I'm pretty much the only one trained on either of those.
What is the difference between programming something for the VersaBuilt versus programming it for like the SVM?
So there's a template to get everything set up in, and you have to be able to design where the robot can pick up the parts, where you have accurate placement of the second op, and where parts can drop consistently out of the jaws. And I mean, there's like 1,000 tiny little variables you got to watch out for that I've been learning over time.
Mm-hmm.
And none of it's crazy. None of it's something that you can't figure out, but all of it has challenges, and he's just not trained for it. And we haven't needed him to be trained for it until now. And I would argue that like it's a different type of busyness that we've ever seen in the history of the company. We've never been busy in this fashion in the whole history of the company. So we didn't even know to prepare for this type of busyness until we got into it.
Well, basically you automated away a lot of the low skill stuff, and that would have been your bottleneck before, loading and unloading parts.
Yes.
And now you're at the point where everything is high skill.
Exactly.
And yeah.
And he's not trained for high skill yet, because everything low skill, we're getting everything low skill done so fast that all that's left is the high skill stuff, and everything's piling up on the higher end. And it's me and Weston are trying to learn ourselves as fast as we can and master the stuff as fast as we can, let alone bring someone new into the mix to try to solve those problems as well.
Could you, in your area, find a high-skilled machinist who could handle this stuff?
I have not seen or heard of anyone in this area that I would trust.
What about somebody remote for at least some of the production programming?
We've got all the machines running for the most part. So it's not getting the machines running, it's getting them running with like problems like this guy.
It's the tuning, yeah.
So like it's something that you have to be there, you have to see, you have to try 10 different tools, you got to try different feeds and speeds. Honestly, if I were to have someone remote, it would probably be quoting, because we have so much stuff that we're trying to do that neither me nor Weston have had a whole lot of time to focus on quoting. So that would be something that we could potentially, do. But
is your quoting systematized enough that you could pass that off?
It's not so complicated that we couldn't, but it's not systematized well enough that I'd be comfortable just handing it to someone today.
This sounds like basically every aspect of your business right now.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Which don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not criticizing. I understand all the issues you're having, and like I don't think I would be anywhere better right now. But I feel like you need to get the spindle gripper for the SVM or the VF3, and then have Ben be the subject matter expert there.
Potentially, but
and you need some like transition production work that he can handle. Something that's more than onesie twosies, but not 10,000 pieces a month.
I mean, I would just need that type of work, and I don't have that type of work.
Yeah, That's easy to say, but yeah.
I mean, I've given him as big of job. Like it's nice to be able to give him, jobs that are like 30 or 40 parts. And we try to give him those parts as best we can. He is busy. Like, he's not sitting around doing nothing. We've got a list that's probably 3 miles long for him to work on if he ever runs out of things to do. It's just that we got enough high level stuff that's really slowing the company down.
Well, yeah. So in my vision of your company, it would be, Ben is the most trusted employee right now. So have Ben move to doing some of the higher level stuff and then bring in someone new who can do the lower, less trusted stuff.
Yeah. We'll have to see. The problem is there's also a financial crunch that we're under, so I don't really want to bring someone else in.
Yeah.
As we're trying to get all this stuff going. So, like, cash flow hasn't caught up to where it needs to be for us to really justify bringing someone in, bringing in someone else either. So,
because you don't get paid until you ship parts and you're still working on the process proving out and yada.
Yeah. And then, like, for example, you know how we shipped out like 2,000 some odd parts last week or 2,500 last week or whatever?
Yeah, you're going to be on at least net 30 for those.
Well, not only that, but we discovered that the very edge of those, and this is another problem that we're trying to work through, we're tumbling the parts, and then after anodized, there's a burr-like edge on the edge of the parts. And I'm 90% sure from my little bit of research that it has to do with the oxide layer of the anodized building up in the corners somehow. And so we're going to have to mechanically chamfer them on the machine now. And we didn't know that was going to be a problem. And so I've been working with the anodizer to try to figure it out. He says that there's no way that that's what's causing it. But we have the tumbled parts, and we can't feel anything with our fingernails. And then we have the anodized parts, and you can feel an edge on the corners of the parts. So those 2,000 parts might all be scrap.
Oh, no. I know that's a thing that happens with powder coating, is when you powder coat stuff, you get buildups around sharp edges because of, I don't remember the term, but basically the electric field gets concentrated there.
Yeah.
So I could see that happening in anode too.
Yeah. And so our anodizer is going, no, there's no way that could be it. And then I discovered this problem after we shipped out the 2,000 parts to him on some other parts that we'd gotten back. So we're shipping parts out, receiving them in. And without getting into too much detail, we had that problem on the edge of the parts having a little burr. And the customer, on the first few runs, the customer said, hey, you need to fix this. And we thought it was a problem with the machining. So that's when we changed up our machining processes and added tumbling.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought that solved it. And now we think it might actually have been coming from anodized, not anything in the machining. And so we had already told our customer that we had solved this problem because everything we could see on the pre-machined parts looked like it was solved. But now they're coming back from anodized and they have it. So we might have to add in chamfering to the parts on the machine, which is going to add time, which it's not the end of the world, but when you're trying to optimize for a high volume, cheap part, every second makes a big difference.
Yeah. And that's another tool change and yada.
And something we didn't quote because it said edge brakes, on the print, it was edge brakes optional up to X size. So we just didn't have any of that in there. So
can you strip the ano off of one and just make sure that little burr goes away?
We shipped him back some today of the ones that he had anodized, and he's going to try to strip them and see if that does anything.
He's going to say no because it's in his best interest.
I mean, he's going to strip and re-anodize, but he can, he's been able to, he was arguing with me up and down that, there was a burr on the edge before and that's what it's coming from. And then he received the 2,000 parts because he didn't have any parts in front of him. We were just talking over the phone. And then today he received the parts and he's like, well, these look good. Like there's no burr on the part that I thought there was. I was like, okay, so so he's gonna try anodizing some of those and see, but
So they haven't been anodized yet.
the 2000 haven't yet. No, they just arrived today. We shipped them out before.
Could you tumble them to death?
Potentially.
Because even like a 10 thou radius or something should fix that. If that is what it is.
We've been tumbling them for 6 hours per batch. So once again, we could,
ceramic.
It's aluminum parts, so it's the plastic triangles, 1/4 inch. And wait, once again, it could just be we need a high energy tumbler.
Yeah.
So
how long did those 2000 parts take you?
A week, a little over.
So it would cost you a whole week if you had to remake them.
Yeah, and we're already behind on everything else as well.
Yeah. What machine?
SVM.
Okay. So at least it's not your UMC, but...
No. But...
Are these the tiny Datron ones?
Yeah, they're the perfect Datron ones.
Okay.
So the Datron ones we're doing on an SVM.
You could try them in a ceramic media.
Yeah. Well, we've already ordered the tooling to add chamfers and backside chamfers to the part, so we're just going to add that to all future ones. It's just, can we save the 2000 and that we already have?
That's what I'm thinking about.
So, all I got is problems over here.
Oh, I get it.
So, like machining, you will never not have problems, but your problems always become more and more niche over time. It seems like.
And they do start to phase you less. Yeah. I was thinking about that with the controller for the Tormach. If this had been 2 years ago, this would have been a much bigger deal in my head. Yeah. And this time I was like, oh, well, Tormach will send me a new one. Like, whatever, we'll get it running. If not, I'll go buy a laptop or something, hook it up. It's like, we can solve this. It's whatever.
Yeah.
But 2 years ago, I would have been,
As me and Weston have kind of both described it, we're entering into that we're no longer a startup. We're entering into that maturing company stage. And so our problems are changing.
Yep.
So we're getting a whole host of new problems as we kind of mature as a company. So anyways, do we want to talk about our Patreons?
Meh.
No,
we'll do an abbreviated Patreon this time. We're short on time, guys. We had technical issues and I was already limited on time. So I just want to say thank you, Patreons. We really appreciate you. We'll read your names next time. Thank you.
Do we want to do any Q&As?
Yeah, I do want to do at least a couple of those. Also, don't forget about the IMTS meetup Tuesday at 2 p.m. in the Tormach booth. I still haven't asked them, but I really should. And that's where all of our Patreon monies are going. Speaking of which, we're pretty close for everything on my end being completely covered. So we should probably give you money at some point. We paid you're Harrison. We paid for Jacob's plane ticket, by the way. Okay. And then my hotel for the whole week, because I'm going to be there the whole time, is almost covered. From Norman, speaking of Tormach. For Harrison, in regards to Swiss Cam, have you looked at any of the software packages from the Swiss machine tool builders, such as NC Assist, Star, or Allcart from Citizen?
I have not looked at anything for Swiss. I've only talked about my need for it, but I haven't done a whole lot of I've got other problems I've been other fires I've been fighting, and Swiss is like a dream, a need, but I've got my house on fire and I'm looking for an extinguisher to put it out.
I think his point goes back to kind of the Swiss Army knife conversation, where if you only need to program 3 and 5 axis mills, then maybe you can, use something like Mastercam for your ITAR's work, and then use NC Assist or whatever it is for your Swiss.
Yeah. If when that happens.
All right. Harley on Patreon. Amber no working. Help. Yeah. So it turns out Jacob is kind of right when he talks about software being easy to run on one computer, but getting it to work on other people's computer being a lot more difficult. And yeah, my deployment of AMRP totally does not work out of the box. So here's what you do. You use ChatGPT Codex or the Anthropic one, whatever that one's called, and you give it the URL for the AMRP GitHub, and you say, please make this work on my computer. So I'm sorry, I know that it doesn't work on very well unless you happen to have that's something that's pretty much identical to mine. Just use one of the AIs to get it working. I'm sorry. I'm not a software developer, and I can't steal Jacob's time to work on getting AMRP released. However, we have a software package that I'm blanking on the name, like MilCert, I think we called it, or something like that, or CertMaster, something like that. It is basically the material management module out of AMRP. Jacob took that and reworked it from scratch so that like it works and it is installable on other people's computers. And that's like the software for managing your material certifications and traceability and generating labels for them and like QR codes. There's a couple different ways that you can do, like you can name your material. So you can use it my way, which would be like audacious green lizard, or you can have it be, the name based off of like the material and the date, or like there's a couple different options, and then it'll keep track of all your material certifications for you, so that if you're, let's say, a subtract vendor, you can keep track of your mandatory material test reports. So that will be coming soon, and I think next we're going to work on the Kanban tool, and we're going to get that released after the MilCert or whatever we decide to call it. And Jacob has done that right. We even got like an Apple developer certificate, so that like it's a signed thing that you can run on a Mac without it yelling at you for security things.
Oh, that's cool.
So like we're doing it right. And next question from Jacob. What's a smell everybody loves that you hate?
Lavender.
I don't like smells in general, but I will say specifically, I got this new coolant in, and the sales guy is like, oh yeah, it's got this great smell. It smells like laundry detergent. And he was right. It smells like laundry detergent, and I hate it. It's way too much laundry detergent smell in my shop right now. It'll go away after a couple weeks, I'm sure. But
do you like the lavender smell?
I don't think maybe it's lavender. I don't know. It smells like laundry detergent. All right. And then Kyle says, I don't know, that's a lot of words. We're going to do that next week. No, Kyle actually has a good question, and we will address it next week when we have more time. I want to do it justice when we have time for more words, because there is like 20 words there, and nobody's got time for that.
20 words? Like 20 words is a lot?
Yes, it is.
It's a whole sentence.
Actually, it's 2 sentences, both of which end with ... So...
Okay, that's fine. I need to get to sleep so I can get up early anyways.
So Audacity Micro is going to do a YouTube video that is like programming the same part in every single cam system that I can get a hold of. And by me programming it, I mean I'm going to do like a YouTube call and record it with somebody who knows how to use it. So if you would be interested in like doing a call with me and programming a part live on, not live, I'll edit it, but like on a recording in like NX or Bobcat or whatever program that you use, that would be good. Send me an email.
Nice. All right, guys, this podcast has been a little bit of a technical blunder, but hopefully it turns out good on the back end. You can thank Jacob if it does. I do need to do a quick shout out to everyone who's been reaching out. I have had more feedback over last week's podcast episode than I have had, I think, ever. I think I've had like 10 or 15 people all reach out, but I had a lot of people all reach out, and so I appreciate that a lot. Anyways, please like, subscribe, share, and we'll catch you guys later.
Legends, one of a kind.
We had a Subtract customer address an email to Jacob.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's great.
with 3 Jacobs.